What is the worst thing to do on a first date? Only talk about yourself. You have to listen and ask questions about the other person's life and they should reciprocate that to you. Also, going on your phone. Go to an all-you-can-eat buffet and stuff yourself to the point where you can barely function afterwards. I know this guy. We'll call him Mark. He took this girl out on a date to a sushi place and she had amazingly never had wasabi. He convinced her it was like a room temperature dessert. Some kind of green tea flavored sweet or something. So she ate it all in one bite. Against all odds. Fear still dating. Be really charming. Make all the right jokes, observations, and gestures. Make direct eye contact. Be super friendly, but not flirty, with your server. Just enough to make your date say wow, my date is so cool with strangers. Then, when the food comes, eat with your hands. Sloppily. Burp loudly. Don't look up from your meal. Snort and snarl a little. From time to time, grab food from your date's plate and right as you're about to touch it say, "Can I try yours?" Don't wait for a reply. Just shove it into your mouth. And before you're able to even chew, put more food in your mouth. If you can. Fart. Then at the end, insist on paying, because that's what a good gentleman/lady/date does. For an added bonus, add "don't worry, you can pay next time." It wasn't what I did, but my date left the movie 30 minutes early to drink at the bar and flirt with men there. I returned to the bar after the movie, bought more beer for my date, and engaged said men in conversation that led to my date being completely ignored. It went downhill from there. If you don't agree on something, ask how you will raise the kids. Then you could start negotiating about how you would divide assets during the divorce. But that could be misconstrued as playful banter. Stick to your guns. Let her know it's not a joke. You need to get to the bottom of this issue if there's any hope for this relationship, which is currently only 20 minutes old. If she genuinely acquiesces, ask her if it's because she's weak-minded or weak-willed, because it's just as disconcerting as her wanting to put beans in chili, let alone call it chili after the fact that she has put beans in it. Take your date into a pharmacy and have a graphic conversation with the pharmacist about how bad your diarrhea is. I was eating a sandwich. Take her to a local hockey game. Wait till she goes to the bathroom. Forget she's in the bathroom and leave without her. I had one first date where the other person spent the entire time talking about getting revenge on various exes. I ended that one with a polite handshake. I have a story for this. I met a girl at a dance club back in the day. This was before Facebook and such, so the thing to do was just exchange home phone numbers and plan to meet again, or chat over the phone. Well, we exchanged our numbers, spoke to each other over the phone, and planned a date. We were going to a restaurant on the main road of town. It was kind of known as the place to go on dates. Although over the phone she told me she knew the restaurant owner's daughter from school and told me she had been quite mean to her during school and that she refuses to support their business. I suggest other locations and asked for suggestions, but she insisted on going there still. I just go ahead with it at that point and set a time to go. I go to pick her up on the night, and after she hop into the car she informs me she called the restaurant and told them she had a strict diet she had to follow given to her by her doctor, but wanted to go there for dinner with someone. They allowed her to bring a meal she prepared to eat while at the restaurant. I reacted unfazed and chill with it to seem cool. We eventually get to the restaurant and my meal is on its way, so she pulls hers out of a little lunchbox bag. Out this strange creator pulls a dish, on it being a can of tuna, a slice of bread, coleslaw, salad with a boiled egg. For dessert she treated herself with a half a pocket's worth of biscuits from the packet. Meaning the long crinkly really loud whenever you touch it packs. Definitely memorable. I'm a bit late to the party on this one, but have a story of the worst first date I've ever heard of. Also, sorry if formatting is off since I'm on mobile. Anyways, this friend of mine, let's call him John, goes on a first date with this girl, who we can call Sally. John drives over to Sally's house, introduces himself, and drives her to the restaurant of her choice, a sit-down Mexican place. John and Sally are really hitting it off over dinner and are both having a great time. Once the meal is done, John can tell that his stomach is not too happy with all he just ate, but he ignores it and continues on with the night, not wanting to end the night there. John asks Sally what she would like to do, and she suggests they go to the carnival that was in town. They both hop back in John's car and head off to the carnival a few minutes away. As they are driving, John's stomach starts to get more and more upset, thinking it is all in his head. He continues on his wonderful conversation with Sally. As they get out of the car though, John gets hit with the 5-minute warning. When you know you have 5 minutes or less to get to a toilet or things are going to get messy fast. John panicked because he didn't want to run to the bathroom for what could be a while and have his date wait on him. If he did, that she would definitely know he was taking a dump, and that is not what he thinks would be romantic. Almost lost in thought over what to do in this predicament, Sally snaps John back to the date by asking if they could ride some carnival rides together. Without thinking he agrees, and they head off to buy the tickets. As they finish buying a few ride tickets, John starts prairie dogging, but can't see any bathroom nearby. Sally turns to John and tells them they really should ride the exciting ride they would buy. This particular ride is shaped like a Ferris wheel, but each cage straps 2 people completely in, and the individual cages flip continuously as the cages go around. The Ferris wheels spin. Dread has set in. There is no turning back at this point, and the carnival ride worker locks them into their seats. From the moment that door locked shut, John knew he was screwed. He felt it start to come out. The ride started spinning around, and the flipping started as John felt the diarrhea slowly ooze out the bottom of his khaki shorts. The diarrhea then started to fling all over the cage and splattered all over Sally and John. What felt like an eternity later, the ride stopped. Sally was stunned, speechless, and covered in her date's excrement. John, equally covered, without saying a word, unfastened himself from the ride, opened the cage door, and speed walked his way back to his car, where he drove away. He left Sally all alone in that forsaken carnival ride, with no way to get home, but to just sit there covered in another person's crap. It's been an odd tradition, whenever I tell a poop story like this to some new friends, that they also share their own with me. If you enjoyed hearing of others' misfortunes with poop, I'd be glad to share. This will probably get buried in the comments, but thank you to anyone who does give it a read. According to my girlfriend, drink apple juice. We've been together for 1.5 years, and she hasn't dropped it, even after she did an Instagram poll that she lost, and every single other person we ask takes my side. So here's the story. It's one of those, everyone tells us we should date, but we pretend to ignore it and get embarrassed things. So there is some build up. We go to our first proper date after I asked her out on a sort of date at her house. We go to a fairly nice lunch restaurant in town. We get to a table and we order drinks. We are both 17 AMD drinking age, when not with parents, is 18 in the UK, so no booze. I obviously order the apple juice and she says nothing about it, because who would? We have a nice date, finishing off at the museum, because obviously I'm so immature and unclassy. Go figure. Everything was a tad awkward. But first dates when you're still fairly young and new to relationships will always be like that. But it was good. After maybe 6 months, closed bracket comma, she tells me in an offhand comment that apple juice was a weird thing to drink on a first date. I'm confused AMD. Rather than explain it at any point, she just says I don't know. It just is and doubles down. It goes on for months. Every so often she brings it up and is really surprised and shocked that I don't agree with her. Every time I get confused by her judgment of my beverage choice, she says that I'm the weird one and that I just don't understand. I contributed to maybe her having grown up in America and maybe it's a thing there. I've lived in the UK all my life. Finally she gets so annoyed that I don't agree and forms an Instagram poll. For those who read the original, I realize I spelled poll wrong. I'm a silly mongoose. Asking her like 400 followers what they think. It is almost unanimously in my favor, and rather than admit, she doubles down and says everyone is weird. A year later, she has asked anyone that would answer about it, and the only person to truly agree is her mum. I give up and resign myself to an apple juice-less existence. I comment on her r/us credit post about worst things to do on a first date. I get a bunch of replies about how she be crazy and I should dump her. I won't dump her over that. She is cool with everything else. But I will listen to all of those replies telling me to bulk buy apple juice and solely drink apple juice around her. Sorry if some words are missing spaces between them. My phone keyboard has too much of a gap below the space bar, so I miss it a lot. Edit. Everyone wanted more context, so I added a bunch. Edit 2. I think we solved it. I have grown up 100% in Britain. My girlfriend grew up in America until the age of 13. Everyone who agrees with my girlfriend seems to be American or at least not English. Well, I can now go back to her and tell her she is just a filthy fire hen, that it's to do with social norms. In America, kids drink apple juice. So American adults, who are more predisposed to judging people, think it's weird and childish. But in the UK, everyone drinks apple juice, and therefore it isn't weird for a British lad. Edit 3. I feel like I should say not all Americans clearly, but it is a thing in America, so therefore a fair few Americans do have this opinion. So my boyfriend and I were friends for a couple years before we officially got together. We had countless nights where we spent hours talking at the bar. That could definitely be considered first dates. But when we actually got together, we decided to get fancy and have an official first date. He was super nervous because OMG, it's happening for real. I'm taking her out to dinner, in no particular order. He checked his phone, didn't hold the door for me, spit tomato on me, spilled his drink on his shoes, tripped and fell on the sidewalk, and ripped his pants. Still one of the best dates I've ever had in my life. And every date we go on now I tease him about ruining it. Edit. Format error. Stupid mobile. My current boyfriend I've been seeing for a little bit had me at his place one night for some drinks and to play Mario. He went to go get something. Came back. Said, I think I'm drunk, did you just hear me fall down the steps? And when I said no, he said, oh, okay. Then you didn't hear that, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Apostrophe. Talk about an ex. Forget your wallet at home. Happened to me. Restaurant was super cool about it, and the waiter covered me. I tipped him 100 lol. Edit. I forgot to say I went back and tipped him. Cried while talking about an ex-girlfriend. Actually happened to me. Then proceeded to show me pictures of her. Then he proceeded to grill me about my exes and how tall each of them was. He has 57. He flipped his poop when he found I dated a guy who was 64. My worst date ever was at Buffalo Wild Wings. We met up, ordered our food and started chatting. About 5 minutes and he's on his phone and starts talking about his boat, a tiny fishing boat, and how he's trying to sell it. There is about 5 minutes of silence as he texts someone from Craigslist about this boat. How long have you been trying to sell it? I asked. About a few years. Apostrophe. I proceeded to ask why he hasn't found a buyer in so long. He said he's had plenty of inquiries and would even consider giving it away if the person who wanted it could prove they knew how to use it correctly. I tried explaining to him that's not how selling things work. You sell it, then it's this, and whatever happens is on them. I should have just gotten up and left, but he also seemed a little sketch, so I thought I'd just play it out and leave immediately after dinner. He was incredibly rude to our server, continued texting about his damn boat, and routinely left the table to take smoke breaks. Once I found out he smoked, it was over anyway, but everything else was just icing. At the end he said he really enjoyed our time and wanted me to go back to his place with him. I respectfully declined and never texted him again. TL. Dr. Guy just kept talking about selling his boat, but he had to make sure the buyer was worthy. Yeah, I gotta question the screening process here. Like you could tell this wasn't going to be a good date at the words Buffalo Wild Wings. Apostrophe. A few things I consider bad in general. Looking at your phone. Talking about your ex. Only talking about yourself. There are of course extremes that turn in red flags, but from an overall perspective of the normalized populace, those three things are considered bad. Not my story, but gonna tell it anyway. This guy I know went to his date's house after their first date. Not only had he just met this girl, but then impromptu had to meet her parents. He walks in and starts awkwardly talking to her parents when their pet budgie lands on his foot. He flicks his toe. He said this was a reflex motion, and the budgie lands directly in the open fire. He never saw her again. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.